Hello fellow rowers, it's Landroe off of Landroe Gaming. Well, it's kind of Landroe off of Landroe Gaming. I recently quit WoW, as you do at some stage in your WoW career. I thought that I didn't really want to play the game anymore, and I had a bit of a break. However, it transgressed that getting rid of my account probably wasn't the smartest thing I'd done. Maybe just taking some time away from the game would have been smarter. But what it has enabled me to do, when I did decide I wanted to go back, I could have a little look at the game from a different perspective. I'm no longer a priest. I'm now going to be playing Druid as a main, because what I want to focus on is PvPing, and I really like the idea of the challenge of getting to master the utility of a Druid. So my return to the game has come in the form of a female Night Elf Druid. I've really enjoyed the early experiences. Obviously, I'm only up to level 69 at the moment, so there's quite a lot more to learn. And of course, things like PvP and even PvE are a bit of a joke at these lower brackets, particularly at the moment. I mean, classes can literally one-shot each other. They can also pretty much heal from 0 HP to maximum health and have a lot of overhealing in a single heal. It wasn't a very good start from my perspective there. I'm still getting the hang of all my spells, my spell priorities, the amazing utility that a druid has. Some of the spells are just fantastic, and I haven't even unlocked them all yet, being level 69 as I am in this BG. I don't have the epicness of Cyclone and a few other spells I'm really looking forward to being able to utilise, which is pretty much the reason I went Druid. When I did decide I wanted to go back to WoW, had to sit down and decide and thought long and hard. I was like, right, what character do I want to be? Still wanted to focus on healing with the options to do an alternative play ability, i.e. DPS or tank, if I wanted to. And it made sense to go Druid because they can do everything. They've got the melee DPS class, they've got the range DPS class, they've got the tanking, and they've got the healing. So yeah, this BG was me basically. It's one of my first BGs. It's me just getting used to my keybinds, which are still not set up correctly, my UI, which is, if anybody has watched my previous videos when I was Landroe, you'll notice the UI is set up in a similar way. I felt comfortable with it like this. I like the cooldowns being kind of right in your face around your character, so you can get you know what's available when. The Healbot UI to the right of that, and a few other little bits and bobs, such as quartz, which probably look familiar. So yeah, like basically I joined this Arifi Basin, was having quite good fun. I really like some of the talents I've taken. I've gone with Typhoon because I just think that's so fantastic at giving a gap. As I touched upon earlier, the low level BGs are a bit of a joke in some respects because of how easy it is to gank somebody. So a melee sitting on you literally can just smash you to pieces or near instantly. So what I was practicing, I was trying to kind of play my character as if I was at max level with max resilience, shifting in and out of snares, shifting into travel form to create a little bit of space. You'll notice some of the tips I've picked off of other Resto Druids, such as the jump, spin, Typhoon to knock players away from you as you're running away. I try and do a few of those throughout the course of this BG, and at the same time get used to the healing mechanics of the Resto Druid and what spells I need to use. I've gone with glyphs that are kind of pretty much primarily set up for PvPing. I've got the Life Bloom glyph where you can switch it with 3 stacks, which seems pretty much essential. I remember playing my priest later on in Wrath of the Lich King, when the hard switch to any team that had a Resto Druid healer was pretty much the only way you could get a kill, and was almost a guaranteed kill every time. It seems like there's a bit more to Druids nowadays, in so much as there are options to switch hots across to other characters, which is obviously hugely beneficial. Treeform is fantastic for the simple fact that you are pretty much immune to lockout, because so many of your heals become insta-cast, which is fantastic. so you don't need to worry about fake casting because you're not actually casting. But yeah, I was just getting the hang of it. It's a very long game, this turned out. I mean, at this point, I thought we were going to storm through and end up winning this quite comfortably. But we ended up not playing the best. We got a little bit focused on the farm, and what happened then is we ended up losing pretty much half the map and going back to square one. I think we had the better team here. Just button in there for a moment, you'll notice the Typhoon whilst in travel form, jumping, spinning, hitting Typhoon, and then landing facing the way that you originally started. It's very epic. I'm going to have some serious fun with that. In fact, unfortunately, after frapsing this video, I was doing some mining, leveling up my professions, because as I said, I had to start pretty much from scratch. And I was in Nagrand, and Halar was being attacked by 360-ish board players, so I decided to go and have some fun. Druids are very, very powerful. You can hot yourself up, you go into cat and do a bit of damage, and I was having some fun and then got ganked by a level 90. I don't know whether one of them switched or it just happened to be in the area and they put a shout out to it. But I managed to get a kill on a level 90 by using Typhoon to hit them off the top of the building, and they fell down the back of the bank and had used their bubble to try and kill me whilst I was flying. So that was a hugely epic moment, but unfortunately I turned off fraps, so I thought I'd got it, but I didn't. So you'll have to make do with this low-level BG footage. I actually think it makes quite good footage, the low-level BGs. I've been watching quite a lot of PvPing to get the gist of Druids, and there seems to be quite a lot of long, drawn-out kind of battles, which is good to some degree. I think that's a good balance to have, but at the same time, it's a balance to have it's a balance to have how much attack compared to how much defense you do at low levels, because one mistake, one time getting trapped in cat form, for example, and somebody dies quite quickly. I do love Displacer Beast, just quickly mentioning at this point, because it's just epic. Its utility in being an offensive spell is fantastic. It's the way you can get away from offense melee classes is just beautiful. I think I use it at this moment here, just to get a little bit of distance between these two melees that are trying to chain me. I wouldn't even do it, actually. I think I might just shapeshift out of the snares and into camp that way. But I should have displaced of these then, because it's effectively a blink. People I hear aren't taking it because of the fact that there's so many dots, and it pretty much brings you straight out of stealth, but I don't think that's necessarily the power in that ability. It's the fact that it's such a good gap giver. I find that anything that can get you away from melee in World of Warcraft is a huge advantage. As a priest, you rely on peels. It appears that I'm going to need to rely on peels just the same way as a druid, but at the same time I think that there's going to be a certain amount of potential for getting free myself with such talents as Displacer Beast, being able to shapeshift out of snares, switching into travel form on certain maps and things like that. So it's, I'm thinking long and hard about it, and I think I've made the right decision. It was between this and Shaman is what it came down to. Obviously I didn't want to go back to the Priest. Maybe one day in the future I'll return to Disc Priest. I think they're a great class. But there's just so much more utility in Druids. They seem very fun to play. There seems to be a skill cap, which I don't ever claim to be anywhere near, but at the same time I think if I could master a Druid, I just think there's so much potential there. So yeah, it's all looking quite promising. These little bits of footage aren't really too much, you can't really read too much into them. It's more from my own perspective of getting used to the Druid playstyles, as I was saying, and seeing what it is that classes have got at their disposal. Because I quit at the time that I did, it's interesting to see what's changed from other classes, and at lower level you're getting a chance to kind of see what's going on. Interestingly, I'm leveling with a family friend, so we've got the triple XP. They're not actually in this BG, but I have been leveling with them, and it's interesting to note that, in fact, the fact that you get 2 or 3 levels up after each dungeon or BG is a bit of a pain in the backside, because I don't get to learn the class as much as I should have. This is one of the things that I think Druid's going to be fantastic at. If I do need to get away here, I could have just ran off myself, but I was trying to help this this WotlK out. There's absolutely no problem with me being able to get away from anything. Obviously, as I said, I ran back in and got comprehensively smashed in the face there by I think it was by a warrior, but I could have got away in that situation. It's the fact that I turned around and decided to go back in. So it's interesting to note that I'm quite excited by the notion of being able to reset fights at times that I want. That's just not possible with a priest. It's almost impossible. So I'm quite looking forward to messing around with that. This BG dragged on for a low-level BG. I think it went on for the best part of 20 minutes. Annoyingly, I joined a Walsum Gulch and got some really good footage for about a minute. I got DC'd, and by the time I got back on, I had the wonderful deserter debuff, and I had to sit and wait for a chance to get back into another BG, because I was getting some quite good footage. But I decided to just use all of this one because it shows some of the things that I may be doing right, some of the mistakes that I'm making. And if anybody who is an experienced Resto Druid has got any tips or advice for me judging on what they're seeing here, don't hesitate to comment on the video. All advice gratefully received. I think that's one thing with WoW. It's good that the community of players are willing to help each other out. I quite like to have a bit of fun, so every now and then I try and isolate some druids and seeing if it is possible to solo and seeing what it's like. I've been doing a lot of dueling as well, but trying a little trick that I've tried to master at the moment is opening into cat, popping Typhoon, and then ending up with a entangling root to reboot my cat energy, and then to go again, so you get kind of like 2 bursts of damage whilst a melee could potentially be sitting in a root. So that's interesting. I don't know how that would work at higher end or a higher level PvP, but it seems to work quite well at this level, especially in duels. I've won quite a few duels doing that, opening in cat with a stun, bleed, getting my fairy fire on, and then waiting, rooting, or typhooning them away and putting in some roots, and then going back into cat afterwards once my energy's reformed. So I'm looking forward to trying things out. I was trying to find combat as well in these little bits of footage. I'm not going to lie, rejuvenation is insanely powerful at this level. I'm guessing is going to balance out, but it swings and roundabouts because a lot of the other classes also got similar type power in their spells. I've almost been one shot by a Chaos Bolt, which hit me for about 8k, so about 10 HP left. Something that I've got to get used to, emphasise there, is running headfirst into priests. I never realised how important it was for positioning for druids. I just run in, and I have to get used to the fact that there are classes that can fear me, and 8-second fears aren't obviously good for a healer. I tried to avoid that big combat there. I noticed we had a paladin healer up there, so I thought I'd go and help out somewhere else. Struggled to find combat for a little bit. But enjoyed my time here. I ended up going engineering and mining with my professions, slightly off topic. Engineering, I just think it's fantastic. I'm so looking forward to trying rocket boots with various travel forms, and as another way of escaping combat and resetting fights. I quite like doing world PvP, and there's a few people on our realm that go to various points and try doing world PvP in groups of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, sometimes 6 and 10 and 20. And I like engineering for that, to being able to reset at certain times. The rocket boots are just exquisitely good. Some quite bad play on this warrior's part, I do believe. He obviously thinks I'm about, so he pops his blade storm, which, give or take, is potentially beneficial, but he actually lets me get a simple cap in now in a second. As you can see, I'm just drawing away from the flag, just trying to get roots off, getting back in there with Displacer, Beast, and then trying to get a cap whilst he sits there in roots. I'm pretty sure he could have just run at me now and interrupted, but I'm not quite sure what he's attempted to do. He's running after his priest buddy. Not the smartest play on his part, but again, with low level, maybe he's nuked the game. Maybe he's getting used to his class like I am. But letting me get that sneaky little capping wasn't the smartest thing. As you can see, I'm getting a bit of practice in here at switching forms to escape trouble, and it's quite good. It's quite good practice, really. Although you haven't got much room for any mistakes at this level. There's a lot of dying, a lot of ganking. Switching to cat is something I think I'm going to enjoy doing. Maybe not so much against priests, but it's quite good fun to mess around in cat form, do a bit of damage. I could have Typhoon there. I've gotten into the habit of trying to use Typhoon as an interrupt, but I still haven't got used to my keybinds. So if you do have a look back at that video, you'll see that I'm pressing the wrong keybind. I think I'm pressing F2 to interrupt the flash heal. I think that's going to be important to set up a kill. I've got a lot of utility of Cyclone and various other bits and bobs, but it appears that obviously a lot of the hybrid classes will let themselves get relatively low before they switch to a heal, and there is a chance that you can push them into the execute zone, especially if they're trying to get that flash heal off at sort of 45-50%, and you can get the Typhoon interrupt off. It seems like that could be a very good way to set up a kill. But I'm hypothesizing and I'm talking quite a lot about what potentially could happen in the future. I need to focus on this leveling and keep doing the VGs to practice all the elements of the playstyle. I've mumbled on quite a bit during this video, so what I'll do now is I'll let the last little bit just play itself out. I don't think there's really too much more I can say, but if you've got any comments or questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Contact me in-game. I'm now Treebird, which is my new in-game moniker. You can contact me on the YouTube channel. I reply to all comments. Or you could email me at landroegaming@gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. Landroe out.